Hearing none, our first item, which I'm actually just going to let our director, JP Phillips, run us through. So we'll just start with projects 2024.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. John Phillips for the record. This is your quarterly solid waste update. Beginning with projects 2024, Ramsey Transfer Station. As you know, we've been working on it, the new future public drop-off area. Kootenai County Solid Waste and Jacobs Engineering did finalize that design and the layout of that future self-service dumping area for small loads of garbage at the Ramsey Transfer Station. This planned future area will allow customers to come onto the transfer station property and dump small loads of household waste and then exit without ever going through a scale. So it should hopefully really streamline the process for those small loads and allow our transfer station to last longer. Central Premix recently supplied and delivered the needed rock for this project in August. Kootenai County staff did run the heavy equipment, placed the rock, and built that 2 grade. The side slopes have now been covered with topsoil, and we have had them hydro-seeded. We will be working on more permanent erosion control on the western edge in the near future. Kootenai County Solid Waste staff will be installing signs and traffic control devices also in the near future in preparation to get that ready to be used in the spring. We're still looking for a used truck as well as containers for that site, so we'll be working on that here in the near future to get those in place before we plan to open that. Any questions about that facility? Moving on to leachate treatment pilot update. Leachate, as you know, is an industrial wastewater that comes out of the landfill, and it's difficult to treat. As a reminder, the department was notified that we wouldn't be able to continue hauling that material to the Hayden wastewater plant for treatment unless we had additional treatment to remove things like PFAS, PCBs, and certain total dissolved solids. We solicited the local POTWs, as a reminder, to make sure we could meet standards in the future if we do need to haul treated wastewater to the plants in Coeur d'Alene, Post Falls, and Hayden. They did give us input, and then we contacted and worked with a company called Dynatech out of New Jersey, who arguably has more experience treating landfill leachate than anybody in the country. Since then, we went through the process and ended up issuing a PO for a wastewater treatment plant that will handle this full-scale system. Dynatech completed the bench-scale treatability study, and it does appear that it will be successful. We still remain optimistic that this will work, but supply chain issues have caused us to not receive all of the equipment at this time. We're ready to go. We have the electrical in. We have most of the parts on site at this point, but we're waiting for Dynatech to ship the main reverse osmosis unit as well as the ultrafiltration. That should be happening at any time. So currently we are working on the preparation for getting the site operational. Our crew has constructed a line containment area for the unit to sit on. United Crown completed all the electrical work as specified, and we continue to work with Dynatech and Jacobs to try to get the system as operational as quickly as possible. We're just waiting for the main unit to arrive. Any questions about any of that? Moving on to landfill phase E3 construction. So as you know, we have a very large construction project currently going on at the landfill, known as the phase E3 expansion. That did go out to bid in 2023. Selling Construction is the contractor that was awarded the bid for the project, and they've made great progress. Site was cleared and grubbed in early June. Since then, 100% of the subgrade has been excavated, which amounts to approximately 165,000 cubic yards of material. The entire cell has now been lined, and the underdrain system and leachate system, which is groundwater collection as well as wastewater collection, have been installed. The good news is, because all these systems have been put in and it's lined and the majority of the sand is down at this point, the project is fairly bulletproof at this point from weather. Line perimeter ditches are currently being installed. The HDPE perimeter pipe for the landfill gas system, which will need to be dug in the roadway, is under construction, as I understand right now. It has not yet been completed, but we're optimistic that they can get that done before the weather really changes in October. Much of the erosion control on the site has also been completed, and much of the leachate pumping station electrical work remains. So there'll still be a number of electrical components, but that can wait until worse weather. So they're really trying to prioritize that work and get all the dirt work completed and the pipes in the ground before the weather changes. This project is reported to still be mostly on track. There were some changes in the project that may push it back a month or a month and a half, but that is normal in the fact that there was that much extra work that was added in. The subgrade material that they encountered was not up to specification, so they had to over excavate, which did cost us a little bit more money. They also found a seep of water, of clean water, that was coming out of groundwater, coming out of the north-ish end of the project that they had to install an additional underdrain for to make sure that we didn't have erosion under that cell. It's pretty extensive engineering and a change. And so that's what has pushed this project back slightly. We still believe substantial completion should occur in late November or early December. So that should be fine with the county, with the solid waste department. So Fighting Creek landfill operations, moving on to that section if you don't have any questions about the cell. Operations, the garbage volumes remain typical for this time of year. The landfill's been receiving an average of about 750 to 800 tons per day of municipal solid waste. Some days, of course, are higher, up in that 900 range, and some are a little bit less. The crew's been doing a great job keeping up with daily operations and the placement of the intermediate soil cover, making sure that our garbage is covered as required in our permits. Erosion control. In preparation for wet weather, the installation of erosion controls must occur each year at the landfill. More specifically, personnel have been installing soil berms and lining them with plastic sheeting to enhance our stormwater control in various locations around the landfill. The crew have also been seeding, fertilizing, and installing erosion control blankets on our steeper outside slopes that are as steep as 2.5 to 1. This is very labor intensive but necessary work. I did drive by the landfill this week and I noticed that they have a lot of it done. So I would say that they're in the range of 80% of the erosion control is complete on the south facing slope, which was a slope I was concerned with making sure we got done before the weather changes. Moving on to the landfill gas system. Overall, the gas collection system has been operating very well this year. The crew's been installing horizontal landfill collection trenches in the waste as we progress across the landfill. By doing this, this minimizes odors while performing the necessary work. Currently, we're collecting about 1,430 standard cubic feet per minute of landfill gas. About 1,000 standard cubic feet per minute is being used by the gas to energy plant to produce electricity, in which we get a share of the profits of that. The balance is combusted via landfill gas flares. Any questions about any of that stuff? Okay, so moving on to transfer station operations. Transfer station operations have been steady, of course, for this time of year. With better weather, we do see increased traffic volumes as people are trying to get their final cleanup done before the weather changes. We're nearly fully staffed, and we've been getting our employees up to speed very quickly. I want to give a public thank you to our crew members at all of our sites for the work they do each and every day. I feel lucky to have such a great staff. We've received very few complaints this summer, and it's been, I would say, a stellar summer for the solid waste department. We held an employee appreciation event recently on Sunday, September 22nd. That was a safety and appreciation event for the crew members of the solid waste department. This year we elected to barbecue for our employees. We did not have that catered. We did it ourselves. The management staff all took care of that. We gave out safety awards, had door prizes, and we overall had a really good time. This was well received by the crew, and we're very grateful for this event. We do want to thank the BOCC for allowing this annual event to occur every year. Moving on to rural sites operations, Sunshine Recycling has continued to do a good job with the haul of the refuse from the rural collection sites to the transfer stations. Sunshine has experienced, I should say, some driver turnaround, but they're now reporting their new drivers are up to speed and their operations have returned to normal. We're not seeing, the volume of, I guess you'd say, abuse or the cleanliness of the sites. Sunshine's been doing a good job keeping up with, so the sites look very good. Overall, the rural collection sites have been looking good, and the levels of abuse have been slightly higher than normal in the summer. But we do have a guy that goes around and he picks up the trash daily at each of these sites. It's typical to see a little bit of an increase of level of abuse compared to the rest of the year in the summertime, just because contractors and things like that will sneak onto the sites at night. So We are going to work on tightening up some of the security. One will be our Kidd Island site, another will be our Summit Bay site. They're both in line for cameras sometime in this next fiscal year's or this current fiscal year's budget. And we will be working on that shortly. The fall maintenance of the rural sites will begin in the next couple of weeks. We've already started some pothole filling, but we'll be going around backblading some of the parking lots, just filling in some of the low spots before we start getting freezing and wet weather and things like that, get the parking lots looking good. Moving on to the Wolf Lodge property update. As you know, we purchased that Wolf Lodge property with the intention of the construction of a future staffed rural collection site on the property. Site will allow the future consolidation of some of our other sites in the area and give us better control and minimize some of the abuse of some of those really small sites that are in the outlying areas that are difficult to control. Kootenai County Solid Waste and JUB Engineering have been working close together to come up with a suitable design. I think we're about there. JUB is currently working with community development on the special notice permit process. I will keep the board informed as things progress with that project. Moving on to patrol and public education at the rural sites, Sheriff's Department continues to do an excellent job patrolling. However, this year they did not have the ability, because of shortfalls in staff, to continue the level of patrol that they have in the past. And so we will put a little bit extra effort with our personnel to make sure we keep the sites cleaned up and also do some public education ourselves over the course of this next year to make up for that. This effort both will greatly is appreciated by the Sheriff's Department, and it's necessary to try and maintain some level of control at our unstaffed sites. That's the reason we'll make up the difference. Since the Sheriff's Department did start this patrol a few years ago, the level of abuse has generally reduced over the entire time, and that has saved many man hours of cleanup. Hopefully in the future the Sheriff's Department will be able to be fully staffed and help us out as performed these past few years. So with that finishes the operations update, and I'll move on to solid waste statistics compared. This is basically a look at tonnage. I can tell you the customer counts are down slightly. So in general, the contractors are still coming in with the same size loads. So overall, our loads are up in size slightly. But when you look at the landfill waste in the gray box, you'll see that the percent changes. It's up 0.3%. So we're pretty flat in reality in the county with the amount of waste that's coming in compared to the previous year. It's naturally also reflected at the transfer stations. The total tonnage, when you look at Prairie, is down 4.6%, but this includes recyclables. So it kind of skews the numbers slightly, and same with Ramsey, you can see that it's actually up 0.3%. So when you see a number down 4.6 or things like that, a lot of that could be wood waste. If we didn't have a windstorm or something like that to the same degree this past year as previous years, that would skew that number. And of course, it would look like we lost a lot of tonnage when in reality it was just a windstorm that triggered that. So overall, we're really looking pretty flat compared to the previous year. With that, that pretty much concludes my solid waste update, unless you have any questions.
Questions?
No question, just a comment. Thank you again. I really, really like saying that.
Thanks,
because that's been always what I had to do in terms of solid waste. You've kept us informed, you know, about the good and the bad, mostly all good, but thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Next update, January?
I believe so.
Okay. Excellent. Public comment? Okay. Yeah, you gotta. Folks online can't hear you unless you're at a microphone.
Hello, this is Arlita.
Is the green light on? I'm sorry, on the other side.
There you go.
Okay, I'm Arlita Holmes, and I have a question on your Wolf Lodge purchase of the property. Is there a place you're talking about the development of that property? Where can I go find out what your plans are for that property? Because I was not aware that it had sold.
You're welcome to contact me directly. I can give you my phone number right after this meeting, and then I can show you the preliminary plan of what we intend to build. But we will be going through the special notice permit process where that will all be public knowledge.
Okay,
But I can give you preliminary information if you'd like.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Anybody on the line? Okay. 11:31, feels like 1:31. 11:31 meeting adjourned.
Thank you.